Your avoidant ex was watching every single one of your stories, almost every single day, but now they've gone completely dark. So what does that mean? Let's talk about it. There are 4 reasons why they might have made that choice. Reason 3, it actually hurts them to watch your stories. It's painful for them, but it has not gotten so painful that they're willing to be emotionally vulnerable and reach out to you. So they're protecting themselves by looking the other way.
This one just tells us their entire internal emotional experience as fact. Apparently, we now know they're hurting. Watching you is painful. They still have feelings. They're afraid of vulnerability, and they're deliberately protecting themselves, all because their username stopped appearing underneath your stories. You don't know any of that. Could somebody stop watching because seeing an ex is painful? Yes, of course. But could be happening and is happening are 2 completely different statements. And that distinction matters a lot when your audience desperately wants the second one to be true.
4th reason is pure avoidance. Avoidants are masters at avoiding their feelings, and looking at your stories may have been bringing up feelings for them, so now they're choosing to not look at your stories so that they don't have to feel that. That's textbook avoidance coping, and whether fearful or dismissive, they both do that.
Again, notice the good word in there, may. Looking at the stories may have brought up feelings. Sure, that is a possibility, but then somehow that possibility becomes so they're choosing not to look because they don't want to feel those feelings. We just jump straight from may to therefore, and calling something textbook avoidance coping does not prove that that's what the particular person is doing. A psychological concept can describe a possible behavior, but it can't tell you why that specific ex stopped watching this specific person's stories. And saying fearful avoidant and dismissive avoidant people both do this, still it doesn't establish that this particular individual is doing it for this particular reason.
Don't see this as a sign that they're moving on and don't care about you anymore. And don't see this as a sign that they're with somebody new. And even if they are in a new relationship, it's probably a rebound, which will fail 75% of the time. Put this out of your mind as much as possible and keep posting normally on your social channels without regard to whether or not they're looking at it or not. Their silence isn't indifference. It's just that you're on their mind now more than ever and they just can't handle it.
And here is where all the cautious language disappears. He says, don't see it as a sign they don't care. Why not? That is absolutely one possibility. Don't think they're moving on. They could be. Even if they're with somebody new, it's probably a rebound. Based on what? And then we get a beautifully precise sounding number. It will fail 75% of the time. According to what research? What population? How are we defining a rebound? How are we defining failure? Over what period of time? You don't get to attach a percentage to a claim and magically turn it into science. And then we finish with, their silence isn't indifference. You don't know that. You're on their mind now more than ever. You definitely don't know that. They just can't handle it. You don't know that either. Think about what just happened. We started with one observable fact. They stopped watching your stories and somehow ended up knowing that they're not indifferent, that they're thinking about you more than ever. They're emotionally overwhelmed. They can't handle their feelings. And if they're dating somebody else, that relationship probably isn't going to work anyway. That's not evidence. That's an entire romantic narrative constructed around somebody's absence from a viewer list. And conveniently, nearly every interpretation leads the viewer to the exact same comforting conclusion. Your ex still cares about you. Sometimes somebody stops watching your stories because they're conflicted. Sometimes because it hurts. Sometimes because they're trying to create distance. Sometimes because they're moving on. And sometimes you simply do not know why. That's the answer these videos seem absolutely determined not to give you, but it's often the most accurate one. You don't know that. And I'm not saying that I know what your ex is thinking. I'm just questioning all the people that say they do.